Hello, friends. Today I'm going to talk to you about emus. Emus are an animal from Australia.
An emu is a bird that is native to the country of Australia. He stands about as tall as you. All the areas that you see in red are parts of Australia where emus live. Here you see an emu on the left and an ostrich on the right. The ostrich is the largest bird in the world, but the emu is the second largest bird. Both the ostrich and the emu are strange birds because they cannot fly, but they can run pretty fast. An amazing thing about emus is that they have an instinctual skill at telling the weather. An emu can know when it's going to rain, even when the rain is so far away that it can't be seen. Emus know to go where it might rain because they know that rain helps plants to grow, and emus eat plants. They also eat bugs. Here is an emu up close. And here's an emu who's having a bit of a bad hair day. Emu eggs are not only big, they're beautiful. They range in color from dark blue to teal all the way to black. Here on the left, you see an emu egg, and on the right, a regular chicken egg. Scientists aren't sure why the emu egg is this dark color, but some think it has something to do with acting as a sunscreen. The dark color collects UV rays, blocking them from getting to the embryo, which is the baby emu inside. While the mama emu looks like a big feathery haystack, baby emus are fuzzy and striped. This acts as camouflage, hiding them from prey in the tall grass.
Once in the early 1900s, the military in Australia decided to wage a war on emus because they were eating farmers' crops. But soon, the military, despite their efforts, learned that there were too many emus, and they lost the war. The emus won. Later, the emus were blamed again for another agricultural disaster. A man who had been traveling brought prickly pear cactus back to Australia when previously none had grown there. The prickly pear cactus was being spread so quickly that it was taking up all of the space that farmers used to plant their crops. This was helped by the fact that the emus would eat the seeds from the cactus, and then when they pooped, it would cause the seeds to grow in new places. So the emus were being blamed for how quickly the prickly pear cactus was taking over the land. This time, the country did not make the mistake of trying to fight the emus, but instead introduced a caterpillar that eats prickly pears. Here is an area that was invaded by prickly pears before, but after introducing the caterpillars, they cleared all the prickly pear by eating it.
Emus are kept as pets or on farms in many different countries, including the United States.
When I was young, I lived on a mountain in South Carolina, and there were not many houses nearby. But there were neighbors behind us, up higher on the mountain, and they had a pen where they kept emus. They raised them, I believe, to sell their feathers. But the emus, probably they had maybe 8 or 10 emus, but sometimes the emus would get loose from their pen. And my grandfather, who lived in the house, did not like the emus coming into his yard. He didn't like it because they left a mess wherever they went. And so he also didn't want them eating his plants. So my grandfather decided that a good way that he could get rid of the emus without having to exert a lot of energy was to buy a remote control monster truck. And so anytime that the emus came into my grandfather's yard, he would get his remote control monster truck and drive it down the hills, down to where the emus were in the yard. and then the emus would run away from the monster truck. And my grandfather would use the monster truck to herd the emus back the direction that they belonged and to send them back up the hill towards their pen.
Once in Phoenix, an officer even caught a pet emu that had escaped. Emus are a beautiful and interesting bird with a rich Australian heritage.